have some very, very talented people here this weekend, but you just might be the most multi-talented.
Oh, wow!
You're a fantastic singer, you're a fantastic songwriter, you're an actor, you're a TV presenter, and you're a mum.
Yeah.
Maybe I've missed a few other things out.
That's the biggest one too, right?
And this is the first time you've performed solo in the UK, is that correct?
It is.
So we've got people here not just from the UK, from various countries, from France, from Germany and other things. They're going to put their hands up, some of them, and ask questions, and they'll tell you where they're from. Some of them are from Scotland and Ireland, and you'll see their interesting accents and everything. So who would like to start? We've got lady on the front. And if you could just tell us who you are and where you're from first.
I am Zoe, I'm from Boston Business School Music as well. And now I'm on a lot solo artists and type children. But when you're on stage, do you let your mind wander or do you still get nervous?
I still get nervous, and especially depending on the performance. For example, live television will quicken one step in a different way than say just the stage and doing a show. So I still do get nervous and I still get butterflies, but mostly I've done it for so long, I just get adrenalized and I get butterflies and I enjoy, the moment of being there. Now I will confess that while I am usually very present, there are certain songs that I have done for a very long time. And I may be in the middle of Stay, and albeit, heaven forbid, I'm sorry that I'm saying this because it is such an emotional song, but I have found myself at times thinking of a laundry list. Whenever I, have to either leave the stage, get home, get on the bus, whatever it may be. So sometimes that does happen, and thank God for muscle memory that I've done it enough that usually I can, at least perform and stay present. But normally I'm in the moment, and especially where the live show is concerned, because that's such a connective space between the stage and the audience.
Stay is a long song, it's about 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Isn't it? You give an awful lot of yourself to that song too.
It is. It is a beautifully emotive song, and as a storyteller and as a songwriter, it's one of the most special that I've been gifted to write. The muse has. I'm very grateful for that song.
Over here, we were really interested in the songwriters, and Laurie McKenna came to C2C last year, and Shane
she's
came.
fantastic.
And so I was going to ask you, because it's Playing with Fires, the album, which is still the album at the minute, but tell us something about Brandy Clark and about some of those songwriters and how you work with these writers to bring this together.
Well, all of those writers make an appearance on Playing with Fire. Some of them together. I wrote a few songs with Brandy alone with her. I wrote a couple with Brandy and Shane, which is total shenanigans whenever they're in the room together. Because they are fun-loving and hilariously funny people. And then Laurie McKenna, who is so special and so rich, and her well is so deep as a storyteller. So they each bring something so different to the table, but they are fantastic songwriters. They have such, I think, a command of the craft, and especially Brandy for turn of phrase. I mean, she can offer something and you will suddenly find yourself gutted. You know what I'm saying? Just in one turn of phrase. So they are all fantastic, and I love what they each bring, and fun to be in a room with them to write.
Right, have we got a question?
Yeah, Lee Williams, CMR Nashville. I was at a press conference with you and Dolly
last
November.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk to you about your acting because you play her mother in the latest part of the saga of Dolly Parton's story.
Yeah. First of all, getting to play Dolly Parton's mom was not only an honor but also quite intimidating because you don't want to mess that up. and also because the relationship between a mother and child can be so sacred and so beautiful. So I really wanted to pay honor and homage to her mom and who she was. Luckily, I had enough time with Dolly that I was able to learn more about her mom and ask her those questions so that I could bring that to the role. Just to get to share that part as a storyteller for me, it's very interesting to put on the hat as an actor because as a singer-songwriter, I have 3.5 minutes to tell a story, right? I have 3.5 minutes to button that thing up and offer it in one little tiny package, at least in popular modern music, 3.5 minutes. But as an actor, I have so much more time to get into a character and to explore it in so much more detail. I found it super enriching because of that. for me, and almost at times indulgent to get to explore a character to that degree in comparison to the storytelling that I get to do as a songwriter and as a singer. So the process in general I also found really rewarding. But then to get to be, I mean, if you just say Dolly Parton, everybody lights up. You know, she has so much goodwill and is an icon and such a legend all over the world. So it was an honor to get to be a part of sharing her story and giving more of her background story to people that they can learn more about her.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, Elizabeth.
Hi Jennifer, I'm Margaret from UKCountryRadio.com.
Hey Margaret.
Hi, twofold question. First of all, how is Magnus? And how has having a baby inspired a change your songwriting?
Magnus is well, thank you. Thank you for asking. He is 4 years old and he is a lot of four. I mean, like he is a 4-year-old boy. He loves dinosaurs and superheroes. And he also has a bit of Tim Burton in him. He's a little dark, like he loves skeletons and, you know, and those sorts of things. So I'll be interested to see, you know, what he does with all of that. And how has a child becoming a mom changed? I mean, it changes your life. I mean, it changed the whole game for me. In some ways, becoming a mom was a bit of an identity bludgeoning. And I think anybody who has become a parent, you know it is such a game changer. So for me, it was a bit of a struggle, I think, to sort of come back and find, I don't even know that I have found a new balance, to be honest. I look at it, Margaret, at this point almost like a dance, and I just try to step in and step out on cue and offer the best parts of myself, you know, depending on what it is that I'm doing at the time, be it being a mother or being on stage. So yeah, it's a dance. I think I've thrown out the word balance at this point in life, but I tell you what I think it did to answer specifically your question about songwriting. It made me more vulnerable than I have ever known possible, because suddenly the idea of the loss of a child or something even happening to him, you realize you would be stripped bare. And so to be made that vulnerable suddenly in an instant, the response to that, where the pendulum swings, I suddenly found myself super courageous, I felt, within myself as an artist, and where I wanted to try things and to put myself in positions that were new, for example, like Lee asking about the movie, or that were more challenging, or that made me a little bit afraid. You know, I think it in some ways made me bolder. Thank you.
Hi, Tanya from Royal Country Radio. I just wanted to ask on perhaps a more light-sided thing on one of the songs of the current album.
Yes.
Drunken Hills.
Yes!
Very light-hearted, funny, but I guess it also has a little serious side to it. And
you know what I love? I'm sorry, go ahead now. I'm jumping in, I'm so excited.
Where it came from.
What I love that art can do is that it can sit in a corner and point a subversive finger at something that you don't have to bash people over the head necessarily with a message, but you can sit there and you can allow art to point to something to say, hey, take a look over here and check this out, and maybe you might be moved to consider it differently. So that song, Drunken Hills, off the album, I wrote with Brandy Clark. And we had been having a conversation where she had said, I've always wanted to write a song based on the statement of Ginger Rogers did everything Fred Astaire did, but backwards and in heels. And she said, and I keep thinking of drunken heels, but I don't have anything more than that. So I thought about that and thought about that and thought about that, and was actually on the road with a child who I was still breastfeeding at the time and exhausted. And I had just put him down for a nap, and it just descended upon me of like, I have the first verse, you know, tired, dog-ass tired. Like I've got this. So I ran off my bus and ran on hers and said, get your guitar. You know, I have this idea of where we could start from this song. And what it does is really, I think, as women, we're expected to do everything and to act like we like it all. And we don't like it all. You know, we don't. So it is permission, you know, to take ownership of those things that we don't like, and it's okay to say it. We don't have to do it all perfectly, and we don't have to like it all either, you know. So it's really a way to celebrate that part of being a woman, and to hopefully encourage us to inhabit our authentic whole selves.
Very good. Lady here.
Hello, I'm Rose from Dental Magazine in France. I saw you when you performed in Paris.
You did!
It was just amazing. I was just in front of you. So the question is, If you have to choose one place, only one place in the world to sing, not only on the country music events, but just to sing, just to have a special feeling, which one do you choose?
Ooh. Let me ask you a question. Do you mean venue, or do you mean country, or
What do you
any
want?
of that?
Just sing.
Just to sing. You know, wow. It's hard to answer because I've had the pleasure to sing in so many beautiful venues. You know, when I think about, for example, Red Rocks in Colorado, in the States, it's so gorgeous. The setting, you know, you're in nature, and it has been made into this really, it was already an amphitheater, you know, set up for that in a way. And when you get in those spaces, there is a sacredness to them. Or, for example, when you're for me, if I go and I play the Opry, for example, and I look at that stage and I think about the legends who have stood in that circle and who have come before me, the women, you know, who have come and paved the way so that I can do what I do now as a woman. I am always humbled to be in those spaces. I for the first time, a couple of months ago, had the pleasure of singing Carnegie Hall for the first time. I did with Sting and Trudy. They have a benefit every year that they do there for the Rainforest Foundation, and I had the honor of being invited to do that. And so it's just, I feel it's hard to pick one, is the answer. It's hard to pick one. Yeah. And also too, I could break it down and say, even when I'm sitting in the rocking chair with my son and I get to sing to him the songs that my mother sang to me, you know, who was the first voice I ever heard sing, which is, it touches me even now to think about that. So I love the way music informs our lives in that way, and it does for me too, not only as a performer, but also just as a human being.
Right. We've got time for a couple more. Lady behind you.
Hello, my name's Linda.
Hi, Linda.
I'm from Claremore Schools Radio. I think building on from what you said, being a singer-songwriter, there's a long process. So the song is written, and then you build on that, and then you record it, and then you build on that again, and you perform live. I was just wondering which part of that process you feel most connected to, or you feel is your favourite. Like, do you prefer performing live in front of audiences, or do you prefer recording the album, or do you prefer the songwriting part?
Yeah. That's another one that's hard to choose because they're such different entities. But if I did have to choose, I would say live performance. I think that's where, even though we have the ability and the technology to capture and record music now, music is a performing art, and it is meant to be experienced as human beings together. And it is one of it's really the most collaborative of all the arts. That you can sit with people and suddenly create something and offer it, and then you share this moment from the stage. And I love people. Like, I'm a people person, you know. Like, I love getting to offer a moment of connection and to experience that myself. You know, it's also self-serving to get out there and get to share humanity with people and remind people of, okay, yes, this is a part of you that maybe you had forgotten, or possibly might you see something of yourself in this music that makes you feel more connected to yourself and to others. So I think it's a sacred calling for me, the live aspect. But then, you know, I just went in and did a couple of demos because I'm in the writing process again right now. And when I was in the studio, even though it's the least amount, that is the part of the process that I get the least amount of time to do, is the studio. And that's because it costs money. So they just don't let you in there, you know, with a free-for-all, right? So I get to do that the least, but I'm reminded every time I do it how much I enjoy that part of the creative process too. But if I had to pick, every day, any day.
The other thing you obviously enjoy is collaborating with people who are in a different musical world.
Yes.
Bon Jovi was wonderful, wasn't it?
Yes!
And Beyonce, I think, Lady Gaga, there's been more than a few. So I think people are aware of them and can find these out there. We've got time for one more question. Pip, you've got the microphone.
Hi, Pip Winstone Focus. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Mary.
Actually, leading on from what Richard just said, probably the most surprising moment of playing with fire is My House with Jennifer Nettles.
Yes.
People wouldn't necessarily put you two together. How did that come about?
I love that you asked this question. So, the collaboration itself came about through the idea for the song. And I had been very confronted, and I'm still confronted with policies on immigration and with policies where immigration and refugees are concerned. But I have a huge place in my heart for the immigrant community. And specifically the Spanish-speaking immigrant community. I lived in Mexico for a while. I studied there. I love the culture. I love the people. And I wanted to write a song that, again, as someone had asked me, I had said subversively sit in a corner and shine light on an issue in a different way. I wanted to write a song that celebrated the ways that we are more alike than we are different, that celebrates the humanity of us rather than the politics of us. And so I reached out to her and said, look, we are obviously living in wild, crazy, and strange times. And I want to write a song that celebrates this, and I would love to do it with you, being a Spanish speaker. Obviously, she's Puerto Rican, being a Spanish speaker, and show how our two communities are more alike than we are different, and celebrate that. And she was like, I'm in! I love the idea. So we got together a few weeks later and sat down and wrote the song together with a couple of each of our friends, and what you hear is the result of that, you know. But I do love collaborating, and I love when music can also serve not only as a connector to ourselves and humanity, but sometimes we as artists, you know, I think we are called and charged with, when we feel so inspired, to help people heal and to help make the statements that either are of protest or are of celebration or whatever they may be. But I think we have a calling and a responsibility to that as artists to lead the way when we are in strange times and our path is unsure.
Thank you. All power to you, Jennifer.
Thank you, my
We
dear.
look forward to seeing you. Tonight, Jennifer will be on stage, and then you're off to Dublin and Glasgow.
And I'll be excited to go back there too. I haven't been there, you know, either.
Well, we look forward to tonight and to you coming back as well.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.